So what led me to start the group hug? Well, before I even got married, I had a gut feeling that I would always live in the shadow of my mother-in-law and the rest of my husband's family, that they would rule, and unfortunately, I was right. My husband allowed it. To the outside world, I was living a life of luxury and wanted for nothing, but inside, I was feeling pretty dead, completely controlled by the family I'd married into, although they were in Italy, and what I used to refer to as HQ. I went along with it. We were members of a private club in London, attended an exclusive leisure club. That stuff was nice, but who was I? Before I married, I was a successful recruitment consultant in West London. I purchased my first property at the age of 23. I was independent. I lived life to the full. If there was a party, I was there, and I liked nothing more than to burn the candle at both ends. But I always felt like something was missing. I was raised in the mid-70s and 80s on a diet of fairy tales and Enid Blyton stories. And I believed, and I suppose like many little girls of that era, that I'd not be complete until I'd been swept off my feet by Prince Charming. I dated many frogs in my time, and when I saw my now ex-husband across a crowded bar on a works night out, tall and dark, I can't for 1 second say that he is handsome now, I thought my prince had arrived. So candlelit dinners, holidays to the romantic Amalfi coast, and the excitement of marrying into a wealthy southern Italian family ticked all the fairy tale boxes. And before I could say happy ever after, there I was, found myself walking back up the aisle with my hand resting on the arm of a husband. I've since found emails to divorce solicitors from 2 years into my marriage. I can't really recall what was happening, but it must have been serious for me to start considering divorce proceedings so early on. I thought that once we were married, HQ would back off, but they didn't, and it was just so suffocating. It's weird how your body gives you signs that something in your life isn't right, and for many years, probably for more than half my married life, I was suffering with really bad night terrors, and I'd wake up during the night screaming, thinking that I was choking on sharp objects such as earrings, staples, needles, and it was just really awful. And it would happen at least twice a week. And this wasn't just a little nightmare. I was absolutely terrified and screaming like I'd been murdered during the night. And in the day, I always felt anxious like a rabbit in the headlights. And I felt unhappy and isolated. So the turning point came one day in 2013 when I was at the dentist, in the dentist waiting room, and I was reading an article in the Daily Mail. I'll add the link into the info for this video. The article was about TV psychotherapist Benjamin Fry and a new treatment he had discovered, which was all to do with frozen trauma and mainly pioneered by a man called Peter Levine, who had spent years studying the behaviour of wild animals when they were under stress. And it was all to do with the fight or flight response. I'd suffered my first panic attack the week before I read that newspaper article, which was a really frightening experience. So this all started to make sense. So I had 10 sessions of cognitive behavioural therapy, which is also known as CBT, and I can only describe a feeling of lightness as I drove away from each session. And ultimately, after a couple of years, I had my light bulb moment and decided that was it. I needed to leave the marriage to my husband and leave HQ and find myself again. So from that point on, even though it was awful, I felt very much alive again. I was forced to live a conscious life, and I was able to make my own decisions again. And I realised that for at least 14 years, I'd been trapped in a kind of fake existence. What happened to bring me to where I am today is a story for another day, and a journey which took a couple of years to arrive at its destination. There were some truly dark days along the way, but at least I was me again, and that was the most important thing. I was living consciously. I was alive, I was conscious. I was aware of my surroundings, even though they were pretty dreadful at times. And one of the reasons I set up the group hug, and there are many, was to show people that you can get through what life throws at you, and in a way, you have to get through. I could have played the victim, but that would have meant that I would still be living a rough life today, 5 years on. So when I was going through bad times, I didn't realise that actually there was help out there. There wasn't the group hug to go to. Maybe there wasn't as much help as there is today. So what we've built up here is a portal of self-help where you can read blogs and articles on different topics to educate yourself. And we've formed a growing community in the forum where everybody can chat to each other about what they're going through and get advice from those who've been through it. Of course, there are also professionals in the hug directory as well. And maybe you're at the point where you know that something is wrong, but you don't quite know what it is. But maybe you're experiencing feelings such as I had. Do you feel like life is suffocating you and you can't put your finger on why? To my mind, there's experts such as Caroline Watson of CJK Counselling and Divorce Coaching. She can help you to identify the trauma you maybe have been through, which could be literally blocking you from moving on with your life. And you'll find Caroline's information in the hug directory, and I will add a link in the blurb to go with this video. Someone else who springs to mind is Leslie Hurst, who's another professional who can help, and she's also on the National Register for Rewind PTSD therapy. Again, I'll pop her link to her listing in the information. The group hug is all about empowering you to help yourself. Don't get stuck in victim mode, there's no point. There's help out there. I had absolutely no money for professional help and I was on legal aid for my divorce case. It was dire. I read self-help books and I educated myself that way, and talking to others really helped me. So if nothing else, get yourself over to the group hug forum and start a conversation. Be brave. You'll not only be helping yourself through talking, but you'll be helping others too. So get yourself over to the forum on www.thegrouphug.com. Thanks for listening.